So you're looking to make the move to Vancouver Island, maybe the Comox Valley or Campbell River area, and you're doing your market research early. So many of our clients decide to move to Vancouver Island because of the lifestyle, because they're surrounded by ocean, the mild temperatures, snow-capped mountains, the trails, the forests, all year golfing, salmon fishing, Mount Washington with skiing and snowboarding, the list goes on. And if you've seen our previous videos, you're gonna see that we highlight so many reasons why people are moving to Vancouver Island. But in this video, we are gonna focus on not just the good, but we're gonna focus on the bad and the ugly. What are the negative sides of living on Vancouver Island? It's not all rainbows and butterflies, and today we're gonna break through and show you what are all the drawbacks, what are the negative points of living on Vancouver Island, and specifically in the Comox Valley and in the Campbell River area. 92% of the buyers here are not from here. They're making the move from the Vancouver area, from Calgary, from Toronto, from all across Canada, and they only see the good. Well, we want to expose Vancouver Island today because we want you to be informed. So when you make the decision to be on Vancouver Island, you know all the points, the good and the bad. So let's go get after it right now. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to all of our followers who watch our videos, leave us comments, hit the like button, and of course, subscribe. If you are new to the channel, you'll want to click on that subscribe button down below, and don't forget to tap that bell so you'll be the first to get real estate information about Vancouver Island, Comox Valley, and the Campbell River area. My name is Justin White with the High Tide Real Estate Group. Our team and I, we get phone calls, emails, and texts from people like you, and you, looking to make Vancouver Island their new home. So no matter if you're 9 weeks or 9 months away from making the move, all of our contact details are down below. Set up a Zoom call with myself or one of the agents on our team at High Tide Real Estate Group. Let's get those questions answered now so you can make an educated decision on making the move for you and your family to Vancouver Island. Vancouver Island in the Comox Valley is a beautiful place to call home. I've been living here for almost 30 years. And I moved from Toronto area and decided that this was going to be my home and this is where I wanted to raise my family because of the beautiful surroundings. Ocean, mountain, trails. We've got everything here, but there are some things that are lacking. And if you're looking at making a move from a metropolitan area, a larger city, there are things that you just want to know. There are some deal breakers for many of our clients who, after they see this video, they decided that maybe Vancouver Island isn't the spot that we want to call home. So today we're going to highlight what are those points, but also we're going to talk about this. Some of them are going to be benefits for you and your family, because when you're making the move from somewhere like Vancouver or Toronto, the number one reason that people tell us is because they want to slow down. They want to have a slower pace of life. And with other people, that could drive them absolutely nuts. So with that, we're going to systematically break down all of the things that you'll want to know and the reasons why some people decide to move away from the Comox Valley and Campbell River area. The number one thing is limited job opportunities. Now, of course, we went through a pandemic between 2020 and 2023. That taught us a lot about how to communicate online. People who weren't using Zoom, now Zoom is just part of their career. Now, most of the buyers, as I mentioned, 92% are not from here, and they are working from home. They're in tech industries. They're in industries that they could work anywhere on the planet. And they started realizing, maybe I don't need to live in a city with 4.5 million people. I could have a quality of life, enjoy my time off, get out in the ocean and do some fishing, go do some golfing in the middle of the winter time, and really start to enjoy life. But if you're not at that spot and you still need to make some income, there is limited job opportunities in the Comox Valley area. When we look at jobs, mainly most of them are going to be service orientated. So there's a lot of restaurants, there's a lot of retail out there. The downside of that is they do not pay very well, and the high cost of living, we see a lot of people that are stacking up in rentals where it's a rental of a 2-bedroom and they may have 4, 6, or 8 people in there just because of the cost of living. We see that a lot with international students. We have North Island College here, but there's such a shortage of affordable housing. People are having to stack up, and they're having to take not just one job, but 2 or 3 jobs just because the pay level is not that high. Now, if you are a skilled trade, you are a doctor, you are a nurse, these are ones that are in demand. Dental hygienist and dentist assistants, veterinarian assistants. These are all in high demand. So those are jobs here in the valley that you could come here, you could move from anywhere and get a job like that. But why we want to focus is there is limited job opportunities in the Comox Valley. If you're into an industry of either tech, finance, or into manufacturing, or into industries that are in manufacturing, you're going to have a challenge because there is not that much here that are going on. If you are an independent business person, you may have some opportunities here because of limited amount of access to services. So you really got to do your market research early and start looking at limited job opportunities. What are those niche markets and niche positions that can be filled that have a good wage with benefits? Because as we know now, the positions that have long-term benefits or that have pensions are getting far and few between. Now we got to talk about the high cost of living. Now BC, when I moved here from Ontario, I thought it stood for British Columbia. I quickly learned it stood for bring cash. Because we're on an island, things are very expensive, starting with housing. Now, housing compared to what? Now, the Comox Valley may be cheaper or lower cost than Vancouver, but for local residents who are born and raised in the Comox Valley and Campbell River area, the price of real estate keeps going up, up, up. When I moved here 30 years ago, the average home price was $125,000. As of this year, the average home price is $915,000 for a single family dwelling, 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. So again, if you're moving from Vancouver and you're selling your home for $4 or $5 million, oh, that's going to look like a lottery ticket because you're going to put a lot of that money inside of your pocket. But for local people, it is going to be high, including rent as well. When we talk about rent, an average 2-bedroom condo here in the Comox Valley, you're looking at anywhere from $2,200 to $2,600 a month. And if you're looking to rent out a 3-bedroom home, better have a good job because you're anywhere from $3,000 to $3,500, even upwards to $4,000 a month. Now you'll want to check out our video called Comox BC, the cost of living. This is where we go down and we break out what is the cost of buying a home, what's the cost of rent, what's the cost of groceries. We go through and break down what are all those costs, because when we talk about things like groceries, yes, we have the chain stores of Superstore, Walmart, Costco, but also the costs keep going up and up. We are on an island. So anything that gets shipped in is going to have the cost associated of fuel, trucking, and of course the ferry, because it's either all going to be brought by a ferry or by an airplane. And when we look at those winter months where we don't have crop production locally, the cost of produce starts to go up when it's being shipped from places like California and Mexico. Now, on the plus side, we do have a lot of local production. So in the spring and summer, you'll want to go down to the Comox Valley Farmers Market. There's a lot of fresh farm stands on the end of the farmers' driveways where you can get produce at a reasonable price. One of our favorite places to go is Seifert's Farm Market in Comox. It's one of the busiest. It has local produce, and that runs all the way from the spring up until November. But again, in those off season, you're going to be paying a lot more. Now, talking about more, utilities here are not deregulated. So what that means is that we have very limited choices for utilities. So if you're used to being in Ontario and you have 2, 3, 4, 5 different choices for electricity for suppliers, you're not going to get that here. We have one, BC Hydro. You pay their price or you get no power. Now this winter was a mild winter, but the average price every 2 months, anywhere from $450 to $700 for hydro for your home in a billing period, which is every 2 months. We also got to talk about gas. Normally, if you're in a place like Vancouver and you can shop around for gas, no, you have one supplier here, which is Fortis BC. So you'll want to calculate out and put in your budget is going to be your utility charges. That also leads us into land taxes. The average land tax for a single family dwelling home in our area is anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000. If you go into the luxury listings, it'll get even higher. So the cost of living across all of Canada keeps going up, but especially here on Vancouver Island. And we can't live without electricity, we can't live without food, we can't live without gasoline, which is another topic. Gasoline tends to be higher than anywhere else in Canada except for Vancouver. Why? Vancouver has a 10 cents per liter surcharge for the lower mainland, which we don't have on the island. So right now at the time of shooting, gasoline price here is $1.79 a liter, where in Vancouver it's $1.89. So if you're coming from Vancouver, you're gonna be like, wow, look at this cheap gas. But if you're on the island, you just see that price keep going up and up. Now, one of the cheapest places to get gas here on the island is going to be Costco, but they don't have Costco gas bars everywhere. They have one in Victoria, they have one in Courtenay, and that's it. And between those two, that's a 2-hour drive just over. So you really want to plan that out as well. So do your research. Check out our video on Comox BC, the cost of living, where we break down all of those costs and more. The next downside about living on North Vancouver Island is the limited amount of entertainment, nightlife, and culture. Now, if you're looking at Vancouver in comparison, there is a plethora of concerts, there's a plethora of culture, of shows, of plays that are happening. In the Comox Valley, it is quite limited. In fact, after 8 p.m., you could take a bowling ball and roll it either downtown Courtenay or downtown Comox, and you may not hit anybody. It gets pretty quiet. It is a sleepy town. This is why a lot of the young youth, once they graduate high school, they're like, I'm out of here. And they want to go discover their world. They want to go travel. They want to really get a taste of culture and nightlife, which is lacking here. Funny thing is, they do tend to return in their late 20s, come back to the valley, because then they appreciate all of the ocean, the mountains, and the lifestyle that Vancouver Island is. But if you're a late night partier, you like to disco and dance, this may not be your cup of tea. For instance, my wife, Bianca, she used to live in Miami and in Denver. She's originally from Rio de Janeiro. She's used to that culture. She's used to that nightlife. And when everything shuts down at 8 p.m., there's not much going on. It's something that she craves. So we do a lot of traveling. Now, the good thing is we have an international airport here in Comox. The bad side of that is it's very limited when I say international. It has a few flights that go to places directly like Mexico, but most of the time, if you want to go do traveling, you'll have to stop off and do one flight to Vancouver, or with WestJet, one flight to Calgary, and then take off from there. But if you're looking for that nightlife and entertainment and dancing till late in the evening, this will not be where you'll want to be living. Now, culture, we do have quite a bit of culture here, but it's a different style of culture. If you're looking at going out for live music, you can usually find live music each day of the week in one of the smaller pubs or one of the smaller venues, and it'll be local artists. We don't get a lot of the big live bands that come through here. There'll be local artists and local bands. We also have the Sid Williams Theater, which is our major theater here in the Valley, which will have cover bands that come in, like Pink Floyd cover band called Pigs. They came in fantastic, but it won't be the original Pink Floyd. They'll also have Elton John cover bands that come in, AC/DC cover bands. So you will find a level of entertainment, but it won't be equivalent to Broadway or to Toronto or to Vancouver. Now, we also have culture in the way of a lot of local events in the summer. We'll have Music Fest, again, local artists from all over Vancouver Island that'll come in. We also have the Nautical Days, which is one of our favorites, and that's in Comox, and that's in August on the BC Long weekend. They'll have a build, bail, and sail event, plus they'll have the downtown with a parade going through it. They'll have a fair going on down at the Marina Park. There's a lot of these local events. July 1st is one of the biggest events here in Courtenay, where they close the downtown. They have the parade that happens. They do the Ducky 500 race, where they dump thousands of rubber duckies in the river, and you can actually do a sponsorship for a duck to the Rotary Club, and they give away prizes like cruises and $1,000 gift cards for Canadian Tire. And then they'll have a big family event down in Lewis Center where they'll have all kinds of games for the kids. They'll have a bike draw giveaway where they give away free bikes for the kids called the Bike Parade. And then they'll have different vendors down there for food, and they have a beer tent and alcohol drinking area. So there's a lot of local culture involved in the Comox Valley area. The next thing that we have to talk about, not to be a Debbie Downer, but we got to talk about the weather. Now, normally I talk about how mild the temperature is compared to the rest of Canada, how we get mild summers. Our average temperature in the winter is 6 to 8 degrees Celsius, and our average summer temperature is 26 to 30 degrees Celsius. It is the perfect combo. But what about in between? We get the most rainfall of all areas in Canada. We are in a temperate rainforest. So if you're coming from areas like Calgary, where you may have -30, but you get a lot of sunshine, you're gonna notice the effects. My daughter recently moved from Edmonton, where I thought, wow, it's really cold out there. But when she comes here, she starts to really notice how much rain we get. And for a lot of people, that can create seasonal affective disorder, which is also known as SADS. My wife is originally from Brazil. She still enjoys the sun, but in the winter, we can have months and months of rain. When she first moved here, there was 40 days of rain. She said, Justin, you oversold this place. There's so much rain. I said, just wait till the spring and the summer. It's going to pay off, but yes, we do get a lot of rain. Now, the benefits of a lot of rain is that when it's 5 degrees Celsius and raining in the Comox Valley, up on Mount Washington, that means snow. So it's not uncommon for you snow lovers to get a 30 centimeter, 40 centimeter, or even 50 centimeter dump overnight because of all of that precipitation. Now, that precipitation also equates to the greenery that we have here. We have lush temperate rainforests. The grass is green. You can golf all year long. That's going to need some water, but the average rainfall does get to a lot of people. That's why most of the residents here do plan sunny vacations to warm places in the wintertime. This is why WestJet started direct flights from Comox to Puerto Vallarta so people could escape those gray, dreary days of Vancouver Island. Now myself, I've grown quite accustomed to it. You'll see a lot of the people on Vancouver Island, the rain doesn't stop them. They incorporate it as part of their lifestyles. And when I moved here, it was a funny thing. I came from Toronto where people would have umbrellas in their back seat, or they'd have these little travel umbrellas in their bags. People here don't have umbrellas. What they have is they'll wear a lot of toques, a lot of hoodies, and a lot of waterproof jackets. So people here prepare for the weather. You can anticipate that as of the first week of November, the rains are going to come, and they don't stop until March. Now, we do get those nice sunshine peakouts here and there, but the majority of weather is going to be wet. So seasonal affective disorder does come in. I know at Costco locally here, they sell these happy boxes where you have a light, you plug it in, you sit in front of it for 30 minutes a day, and it creates vitamin D within yourself and increases the level. My pro tip here, I take 2 400 milligram vitamin D a day. This way it increases my mood, increases the happiness, even when it's raining outside. The next thing you'll want to know about, and this is so important, and I didn't realize it when I moved here, is the limited healthcare. Now, the average age in the Comox Valley and Campbell River area is 58 and a half years old. So we are predominantly having an older demographic. People are moving here because of the mild temperatures. So there are a lot of senior citizens that love to move to this area, which also starts to put more of a tax on our health system. So if you're looking to make a move here, number one, general practitioners are in limited supply. So you'll want to contact all the local clinics and get yourself on a waiting list. This can be very frustrating because we are also having a combination of walk-in clinics that are closing because of the lack of doctors. Now that's increasing the lineup at our local Comox Valley Hospital. I heard from a friend the other day, they had to take their daughter there and they waited 6 hours in the emergency room just to see the doctor because there was such a long line of people waiting, and they put more severe people at the front of the line because of the limited amount of doctors. So healthcare is something that you'll want to look at. This includes laboratory testing. There are only 2 facilities to get lab testing done, like blood or any kind of urine testing done. One is Life Labs, which you'll want to use their app and book it in advance. The other is at the hospital, and if you're going to be going and doing that, you'll want to get there at 6 a.m. when they open. So this is a big frustration to people, is the lack of healthcare amenities that are here and the wait times. If you need to see a specialist doctor, don't be surprised when you have to wait 6, 9, or 12 months to see a specialist. There's a lot of waiting line, and there's the shortage of doctors. Now, when we look at Vancouver Island, 80% of the BC healthcare funding goes to the bottom portion of Victoria, which is a very small area of all the landmass of Vancouver Island. They have a population down there of over 400,000 people compared to our 70,000 people in the Comox Valley. So 80% of the funding for healthcare goes down there to Jubilee Hospital, the Royal Victoria Hospital, where in the Comox Valley, we do have a newer hospital. It was built 5 years ago, but again, we've outgrown it already. The population density is growing at a quicker rate than healthcare can keep up, causing a lot of frustrations for local residents. Could you live without your cell phone? As we go into remote areas of Vancouver Island, there is no cell signal. Now, being a licensed real estate agent, cell signal is my lifeline. I need to have cell signal. So when we go out looking at homes, you'll want to bring your cell phone and make sure, A, do you have bars? And B, is it a 3G or 5G service? Even in the Comox Valley, which is more of a city than a rural area, there are pockets where service won't work. And this is a lot of the difference between the carriers. So TELUS, for instance, there's a lot of areas where it will drop signal, even though you're in the city of Courtenay or in the town of Comox, versus Rogers that may have 2, 3, 4 bars, and I could have somebody standing beside me with TELUS and have no signal whatsoever. Cell phones have become part of our life. It's how we communicate. It's how we stay in touch with our loved ones, and we have to be aware of how important is that cell service to people. As I mentioned, a lot of our buyers that are buying here work from home. They work remotely. They need to have Wi-Fi. They need to have a solid cell signal. So this will be something that you'll want to look at. My suggestion is to go to your carrier's website. They'll have a detailed map that you can zone in on and start to look. Where are those pockets of dead zones that there are not cell signals? I know when I'm driving down the Island Highway, going from Courtenay down to Nanaimo, I can predict, because I've done it so many times, where my cell signal is going to drop off. Now, the good news is we have a very good cell signal. There's 2 places that drop off. So that way, you know that if your car does break down or if you have emergency, you can get a hold of somebody. The other point is when you're out on the water, on the ocean, being taken to ferry, or if you're on your own private boat, or if you're on a chartered fishing boat, most of the surrounding waters around the Comox Valley and Campbell River do have cell signal. This is for emergency. And in fact, the cell signal bounces on the water, so it actually is extended when you're out on the water, which is good to know if your engine breaks down and you're stranded out there. But there are places out on the west coast, Winter Harbor, Cape Scott, well, there is no signal or very limited signal. So you'll want to do your research early and find out, A, do you have signal with your current carrier, or B, do you need to change the plan? Now, you can always reach out to us here. We can actually tell you what is the best carrier and what are the best areas for cell signal. As we say, it's a way of life now, and it keeps you connected to those that you love. Now, this next subject gets a lot of feedback on our local rants and raves pages on Facebook, and it is the seasonal tourism crowds. We live in an area where people are coming from all over the world to discover and to enjoy Vancouver Island. They're coming here for surfing in Tofino. They're coming here for skiing on Mount Washington. They're coming here for the world's best salmon fishing in Campbell River. They're coming here for hiking trails. They're coming here for the world-class downhill mountain biking in Cumberland. And what that does is that increases our traffic load in the Comox Valley and on the whole island. You'll see it everywhere from Victoria, Nanaimo, all the way up to Port Hardy and Port McNeill. You'll especially see it on the ferries. If you are looking to avoid multiple sailing waits, 6, 7, 8 hours in a lineup, check out our video on the BC ferries. We go in and break down how do you save time and money on your BC ferry sailings. We actually show you a way to get up to 50% off of your fare for your car and for all of your passengers in it. So check out our video there. Tourism puts a load and a stress on our system. We have limited amount of streets. Inside of the Comox Valley here, we only have 2 ways to travel to one side of town to the other, and there are 2 bridges. One is the 17th Street Bridge, the other one is the 5th Street Bridge. Currently, our population is growing enormously, and even at 5 p.m. on a Friday night, don't be surprised when you have to wait 3 or 4 traffic light changes in order to get across. So if you are going from one side of town at Walmart to the north side of town at Home Depot, it could take you 20 to 25 minutes. Now, when I say this to our clients moving from Vancouver, they laugh. They're like, I wish it was 25 minutes for me to get across town. A lot of them are spending an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours doing a commute twice a day. I talked to a client that came and looked at homes last weekend. He was from the Port Coquitlam area and he works in UBC. He spends an hour and a half each way. That's 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, 15 hours a week just in traffic. But for a lot of people that have grown up here in the Comox Valley and they've seen the growth of the population, then you multiply that by tourist season, adding on trucks with boats and trailers and RVs, you really do start to notice that we're stretching out the transportation system. Now, this also equates into the retail stores, especially the grocery stores and the gas pumps. Be prepared that the lineups will be that much longer at the local checkouts or at the gas pumps when you're trying to get gas in the summertime. Now, our tourism season starts at the end of June once the kids get off school, and it goes till the end of September. So from July 1st to September 30th, these are our peak tourism time. And if you're thinking about enjoying the many spots around the Comox Valley, say you're thinking about going camping, you'll want to book in advance. Now, the good thing is the government has its own website for all the provincial campsites, and that opens up in March. So you can book all the way to the end of the year. That way you're going to ensure that you're going to get a camping spot for you and your kids. Now, if you're thinking about doing camping further out, just north of Nanaimo, there are a ton of open campsites up there by the BC Forestry Association. They're inexpensive, $15 a night. There's no reservations needed. And most of these campsites are on lakes with fire rings, and they're cleaned up and kept nice and tidy. So you can go and have your camping there, but you do want to plan ahead because we do have that influx of tourists from July the 1st to September the 30th. People that are moving here are looking for the lifestyle. Soon as they hop off the ferry and land on the island, you'll see them do this. And they will breathe. They are in island time. But there's a dark side to that. We want to talk about that nobody talks about is the homeless and drug crisis that is happening on Vancouver Island. And it's not just here, and it's not just across Canada, it's an international epidemic that's happening. As there's the rising cost of living, more and more people are driven to live on the streets. Now, if you were in a tent, would you rather live in -30 in Edmonton or plus 10 degrees in the Comox Valley? When you're driving downtown, this is so apparent. The majority of the homeless population are gathering down in the downtown area. We have the Connect Center, which is across from City Hall. You'll see tents and people sleeping on the streets in around that area and in the back alleys. Now, when I moved here, we did not have this kind of epidemic, but with the opioid crisis that's going around, it's amplified the amount of homeless that we have in our area, which has also accelerated the crime rate. Now, you'll want to check out our other video, which is called The Best and Worst Cities on Vancouver Island. And what we do is we compare the crime rates and look at what are the safest communities on Vancouver Island, and also which are the ones that have the highest crime rate, including violent crime. So if you're looking to make this your home, you'll want to check out the video. Around City Hall, they've even had to put in steel caged barriers to stop the homelessness from putting up their tents. So we're seeing a lot of this issue. Now, in response to this, the Comox Valley has actually purchased land on Ryan Road in the Old Island Highway, right behind the RCMP station. And in 2026, they're projecting to have built a 700-bed homeless shelter. Now, the challenge is the rate of homelessness that's going up is going to surpass those 700 beds. Compound that with this is one of the highest density residential areas in all North Island. This is where we see a lot of multifamily homes, apartment buildings, condo buildings, townhouse structures, all within a few city blocks. And this is where they're building the new homeless shelter. Now, of course, they have to have somewhere to live, but we also have to have it planned out properly so it doesn't affect the residents of the Comox Valley. So if you're looking to buy a home here, you'll want to know, what is that going to do to your property value? What will that do to the area and the projections on that? It's not just the Comox Valley. This is also happening in Campbell River. This is happening in Duncan. This is happening in Victoria. This is also happening in Nanaimo. So check out our video called The Best and Worst Cities on Vancouver Island so you can see where is the safest place for you and your family to make home on the island. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video and you found it very informative. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I also want you and your family to be informed about the good, the bad, and the ugly about Vancouver Island. What's great is that the ugly is very small and it does not outweigh the beautiful points and the lifestyle of living on Vancouver Island. Now again, if you're new to the channel, click on that subscribe button and don't forget to tap the bell so that you'll be the first to get notifications about the real estate and the lifestyle here on North Vancouver Island. My name is Justin White with the High Tide Real Estate Group. All of our contact details are down below. Set up a Zoom call with me. We'll talk one-on-one or with one of my teammates. Let's get those questions answered today so we can help make the move smooth and easy for you and your family. Now, if you've liked the video, click on the like video and be sure to share this with family and friends. And if you're planning a trip to the Comox Valley, reach out to me. It'd be great to meet you in person. If not, we're going to see you in the next video.